Hi, Nancy Burt-Preece here, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. Here's all my contact information. Please share my Facebook business page as well as my YouTube channel. I hope you just share the fun around. I love to do videos for you, and I hope you share it with all your crafting friends. Today we are going to do the fault line technique. I tackled that before, but I'm tackling it with our Cheers and Sips bundle. It comes with dies. I'm actually fussy cutting these out of the designer series paper. But I wanted to show you how to make how easy that fault line technique is, and just to make a really fun card. So I'm going to move this to the side, and I'm going to tell you what you need. You need your 4 1/4 by 11 scored at 5 1/2, and I'm using Melon Mambo. One of my favorites, and it's, July, and it's lemonade and all sorts of fun time, and making sure I got that scored and evenly. Sometimes I do, and sometimes I don't. I have an inside white that is 4 by 5 1/4. I have a little strip of designer series paper for the inside. You can use it like that with the drinks. I'm going to actually use the polka dot side. I have a piece of Blackberry Bliss, which is 4 by 5 1/4 for the outside. This designer series paper, and let me make sure I'm giving you, it is 3 3/4 by 4. You want to make sure you have the 3 3/4. If you do the 4, it's too big. So you have to make sure it's on the 3 3/4 side, which we will do in a minute. Then I have a piece of white and a piece of Melon Mambo. Oops, where's my Melon Mambo? Right here. That are both, let me check. 3 3/4 by 2 3/4. They're the same size. Then I cut out a couple of little fun things from the designer series paper that goes with this set, which is just awesome. So let's start by stamping the inside. So what I did is I have my 4 by 5 1/4 inside white, and I'm going to put down my designer series paper here. I'm going to go ahead and put that down. And then I'm going to adhere that. I always like to leave a little tiny bit. You don't have to, but I don't know, I do. And then I thought it just looked too boring. So I used some Timid Tiger, and I just added some orange slices. And I kind of just made them fun, just kind of going up and down, nothing tricky. And that is the inside of our card. Could you put happy birthday? Yes. I didn't put the inside because then people can use it for all sorts of good things that you might want to say. Cheers, celebrated your day. Who knows? Could be graduation, could be anything. So I kind of left that. Sometimes I do that for cards. That way I can personalize them as I need them. So I'm going to adhere that on the inside. So my inside white is finished. Now my outside, I'm going to go ahead and adhere my Blackberry Bliss, which is 4 by 5 1/4. Now I've done these cards differently, but I found someone else, well, several people that have done them a little bit differently. So I'm going to try it this way, and I think it's kind of easier and a really fun way to do it. So remember, I said it's 3 3/4 by 4. You have to make sure that the 3 3/4 side is oriented correctly, because that's going to make it work. I'm going to close this one now so you can see. so that it'll look like it's one united piece of paper. So I'm going to kind of orient it in the middle. Doesn't have to be perfect. As close as you can get it to the middle. Now the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this white and I'm going to stamp the very top left. I'm going to start stamp the cheers in strawberry slush, because I love using the colors that Stampin' Up! Already figured out for us to use. And I'm going to use Blackberry Bliss. And it says, cheers, let's celebrate. And then on the bottom, I'm going to stamp a strawberry in black. And I'm just going to stamp it here, farthest to the bottom on the left. Then the next thing I'm going to stamp is It's Your Day over here just a little bit, like towards the top of the strawberry. I have my stamping finished, and you'll see why in a minute, because it helps you know where you're going to be tearing. So if you do the stamping first, then you do the tearing, it makes life so much easier. I'm going to take a moment and I'm going to go ahead and color my strawberry. I'm using strawberry slush. And then the other green I'm using is lemon lime twist. And how did I find those colors? Because they were right in the designer series paper. Like I say, Stampin' Up! Makes it easy for us. So I have all my stamping finished. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to put those right next to each other, stacked on top of each other. Okay? So I've got my white on top, my strawberry slush on the inside. I'm going to do a tear. I'm tearing towards myself, and I'm going to tear, try to keep it centered if you can, tear right between. Now, if it's not perfect, that does not make a difference. Here's the next thing I'm going to do. Keep them like they are, and I'm going to add a little bit of adhesive just at the top of this one. And I'm going to adhere it just a little bit farther down so you can see the rip marks match. I love that part. The rip marks match. That is so cool. And then I'm going to adhere it on my card. Now I can glue all the whole thing. And I'm going to line the bottom up. If you notice, I'm kind of lining it up so that it gives me a good little bit at the bottom. Okay. Then the top, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to take this one. I'm going to, I always have to think that through, add a little bit towards the torn part. And make it so that it matches, because see now the lines match beautifully because they were torn at the same time. Maybe put a little bit here too so that is adhered. And I'm going to adhere this on the top so that it looks like it is nice and oriented. Now, could you leave it like this? You could. I got to get that over just a little bit, teeny tiny bit. That's what I like about the wiggle room. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to pop up my drinks. I did fussy cut these out. I do not mind fussy cutting. I know some people are not fans of fussy cutting, but this designer series paper is so great. And it's just a really fun, so I'm going to put the bigger drink here. And I'm going to put a smaller drink right next to it. And I have such a fun card already. I have one last thing I'm going to add to really make this card pop. This suite of products comes with, they're called holographic resin dots, but they have like a yellow cast to them, which is really fun. And I'm going to add a couple of dots. I don't know, you know, your eye likes groups, odd numbers. So I tend to do threes. I'm going to do, a couple there. And one down here. And you've got and all of them are unique because you don't tear it the same way every time. Isn't that an easy, fun card? And it is showcasing this really neat fault line technique. So I hope you try this. And if you do, share in the comments what you've made. Have a great day.